Travis Kelce was jogging back to the sideline during a break in the game when something in the crowd caught his eye. Among the sea of cheering fans, a young boy sat hunched in his seat, wiping tears from his face. His small hands clutched the fabric of a bright red Chiefs jersey. Kelce's number 87 stretched across the back. The sight stopped him in his tracks. He didn't think twice. Ignoring the noise around him, he turned toward the stands and made his way over. The cameras weren't focused on him, and no one expected what he was about to do. As he got closer, the boy, still unaware of his presence, sniffled and rubbed his face with his sleeve. His father sat beside him, a hand on his shoulder, trying to console him. Kelce leaned over the barrier and tapped the boy gently on the shoulder. The kid flinched slightly, then slowly looked up. His teary eyes widened in shock. "Hey, buddy," Kelce said, crouching down to meet him at eye level. "What's wrong?" The boy hesitated, struggling to find his voice. He blinked a few times, as if trying to make sure this was real. Finally, in a quiet, shaky voice, he whispered, "I just wanted to meet you, but they wouldn't let me." Kelce's expression softened. He glanced at the father, who gave him a small, knowing nod. The boy had been trying all night to get closer, but security had turned them away. He had been looking forward to this moment for months, and now, sitting here in the middle of the roaring stadium, he felt like it had slipped away. Kelce didn't hesitate. "You know what? Let's fix that." He reached up, pulled off one of his gloves, and placed it in the boy's hands. The kid stared at it, eyes still wide, his fingers barely able to grip the oversized piece of gear. "That's yours now," Kelce said, giving him a small smile. The crowd around them started to take notice, murmurs spreading, a few fans pulling out their phones. But Kelce wasn't doing this for attention. He was focused entirely on the kid in front of him. "You're my good luck charm now," he said, patting the boy's shoulder. "We're winning this one for you." The boy's lips trembled, but this time not from sadness. His tears were still there, but they weren't from disappointment anymore. The boy looked down at the glove in his hands, his fingers running over the fabric as if he were afraid it might disappear. His father, still caught in the moment, shook his head in disbelief. This was something they had never expected. Kelce wasn't in a rush to leave. He crouched down, resting his arms on the barrier, giving the kid his full attention. The roar of the stadium had faded into background noise. Right now, there was only this moment. "What's your name, buddy?" Kelce asked. "Liam," the boy said, his voice barely above a whisper. Kelce nodded. "Well, Liam, I gotta tell you, that jersey looks good on you. You play football?" Liam nodded, his grip tightening on the glove. "I try, but I'm not very good." Kelce's expression didn't change, but there was something new in his eyes. Understanding. He had been that kid once, the one who doubted himself, who wondered if he would ever be good enough. He smiled, shaking his head. "Let me tell you something, Liam," he said, leaning in a little. "Nobody starts out being great. You know what my coach told me when I was your age?" Liam shook his head. He said, "Travis, you're going to fall. A lot. You're going to mess up, throw bad passes, drop catches, lose games, but the kids who get back up, they're the ones who make it." Liam blinked up at him, as if trying to absorb every word. Kelce gave him a reassuring nod. "You just keep playing, all right, and next time you drop a pass, you remember, so do I, all the time, even in front of millions of people." That got a small smile out of Liam, barely there, but real. A voice called from the sideline. The break was ending. Kelce glanced back at the field, then turned to Liam one last time. He reached up and unfastened his towel from his waist, handing it over. "Hold on to this for me, okay? That way, I know you're cheering me on." Liam took it with both hands, nodding quickly. Kelce gave him a wink before jogging back to the field. Liam watched him go, still gripping the towel tightly. For the first time that night, he wasn't just another fan in the stands. He was part of the game. Liam sat frozen in his seat, staring down at the towel in his hands, his fingers gripping it like it was the most valuable thing in the world. His father nudged him gently. "You all right, bud?" Liam nodded, but he couldn't find the words. His heart was racing, not from nerves anymore, but from something new. Excitement, disbelief, Just minutes ago he had been crying, convinced that his dream of meeting Travis Kelce was over. Now, he sat there with Kelce's glove and towel in his hands, proof that the moment had actually happened. The game resumed, but Liam wasn't watching it the way he had before. His eyes were locked on Kelce, following every move. And then, something happened that made his breath catch. Kelce caught a short pass over the middle, shaking off a defender before cutting upfield. The stadium roared as he bulldozed ahead, pushing through 2 more tacklers. He was dragging bodies with him, refusing to go down. The energy in the crowd surged, fans rising to their feet, but Liam barely noticed them, his small fists clenched around the towel. Then, as if on cue, Kelce broke free. He sprinted the final few yards, diving into the end zone for a touchdown. The stadium erupted, fireworks shooting into the night sky, but Liam only had eyes for one thing. As Kelce got up, he turned toward the sideline, scanning the stands. Then, through the sea of fans, he spotted Liam. Without hesitation, he pointed straight at him. Liam's breath hitched. His father saw it too, giving his shoulder a shake. "He's looking at you, kid." Kelce grinned, then tapped his chest twice before pointing again, this time at the towel Liam held in his hands. The message was clear. "This one's for you." Liam couldn't stop the smile that spread across his face. His sadness from earlier felt like a distant memory. In this massive stadium, surrounded by thousands of fans, he wasn't just another face in the crowd. He mattered, and for the first time in his life, he believed it. Liam could still feel the echoes of the stadium shaking around him, but the only thing he heard was the pounding of his own heart. He sat there stunned, staring at the field where Travis Kelce had just pointed at him. His fingers gripped the towel even tighter, his chest rising and falling in quick, shallow breaths. This was real. This was actually happening. His dad nudged him again, laughing. "You all right, kid?" Liam nodded, but he was still too overwhelmed to speak. His eyes stayed locked on Kelce as he jogged toward the sideline, high-fiving his teammates, the energy still electric around him. Then, just before sitting on the bench, he turned back toward Liam's section again, just for a second, and gave him a small nod. A simple, almost unnoticeable gesture, but to Liam it meant everything. The people sitting nearby had caught on now. A couple of fans patted Liam on the shoulder. A few others leaned over to tell him how lucky he was. One guy in a Chiefs hat grinned and said, "You better hold on to that towel forever, kid." Liam finally exhaled a breath he didn't realize he was holding. He looked down at the towel, running his fingers over the fabric, then back at the field. His eyes burned again, but this time it wasn't because he was sad. It was something else entirely, something warm, something powerful. For the rest of the game, he never looked away. Every time Kelce stepped onto the field, Liam sat up straighter, watching his every move, cheering louder than he ever had before. He felt different now, lighter, like he belonged here. And then, something even crazier happened. A stadium camera panned across the crowd, searching for reactions after another big play. Liam wasn't paying attention, until suddenly his face was up on the massive jumbotron screen, larger than life. The crowd around him roared. His dad laughed, shaking him by the shoulders. "Look at you, superstar." Liam's mouth dropped open. The whole stadium could see him, and then, in the bottom corner of the screen, the broadcast showed a slow-motion replay of Kelce pointing toward the stands. Right at him. The moment had been captured forever. Liam stared at the giant screen in disbelief, his own face looking back at him, his eyes still wide from the shock of everything that had happened. The roar of the stadium felt different now. It wasn't just background noise anymore. It was for him, for this moment, for the memory that was being cemented right before his eyes. His dad let out a loud whistle and clapped him on the back. "That's you up there, buddy. You made it to the big screen." Liam blinked, still gripping the towel like a lifeline. A few fans nearby pointed at the screen, nudging each other, smiling. Even strangers were happy for him. He could hear someone behind him say, "Man, that kid's going to remember this forever." And he would. Back on the field, Kelce had settled onto the bench, drinking from a water bottle. But when he saw the screen flash with Liam's face and the replay of his gesture, he grinned. With zero hesitation, he stood up and raised both arms in the air, motioning to the crowd. The fans caught on immediately, cheering even louder, feeding off his energy. Then, with a playful smirk, he looked back toward Liam's section and mimed catching a pass before pointing back at him again. Liam's jaw dropped. His dad laughed, shaking him gently. "You better catch it, bud." Liam, barely able to think, threw both hands up in the air in the universal "I got it" motion. The entire section around him cheered. The cameras caught it. The broadcasters took notice. "Looks like Travis Kelce's got himself a new favorite fan tonight," one of the commentators said with a chuckle. Liam felt warmth spread through his chest. Just a short while ago, he had felt invisible, like his moment had passed. Now, he was part of something bigger than he had ever imagined. For the rest of the game, every time Kelce stepped onto the field, Liam watched with a new sense of connection. He wasn't just a kid sitting in the stands anymore. He was part of the game, part of the story, if only for one incredible night. As the final whistle blew and the crowd began to pour out of the stadium, Liam held onto that towel like it was the most valuable thing in the world. His heart was still racing, his mind replaying every moment over and over. This night had changed something inside him. He had come in feeling small, just another kid in the stands, and now he knew that sometimes the moments you least expect are the ones that stay with you forever. Travis Kelce didn't have to stop. He didn't have to notice one kid in the middle of thousands. But he did, and that simple act of kindness turned a night of disappointment into a memory that would last a lifetime. Sometimes, a few seconds of effort can change someone's entire outlook. A small moment of kindness can turn an ordinary day into something unforgettable. So, here's the question. Who in your life needs that moment? It doesn't take much to make someone feel seen, to lift them up, to remind them that they matter. Whether it's a simple smile, a kind word, or just taking the time to listen, those small gestures can make the biggest difference. Be that person, because you never know. Your kindness might just be the moment someone remembers forever.